Hello, Mrs. C here. Today I'm going to be talking about the Unit 3 Matter Everywhere, Lesson 3, Inquiry Skill Measure, Portfolio Assignment. This is a science assignment that you'll turn in for part of your grade. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the information within the lesson that we were given about measurement. This says, you measure to find out the size or amount of something. You can use string or cubes to measure how long or how wide something is. You can also use a ruler to measure some things. So let's look at our example down below. Whitney used cubes and a ruler to compare the length of 3 books. She made a chart to show what she found out. Her chart says, how long is a book? So she has her titles, book, cubes, and inches. First, she measured her I Spy book and found out it was 13 cubes long and it was 10 inches long. So she used cubes for the first measurement and she used a ruler to measure in inches with the second measurement. Then she measured her book called The Biggest Tree. It was 9 cubes long and 7 inches long. Last, she measured her Watch It Grow tree. It was also 9 cubes and 7 inches long. So let's look at these pictures below. Not everything is flat like a book. Some things are rounded like the cylinder. You can't stretch cubes around the cylinder, but you can use a string and then measure the string to find out how big a can is. So number 1 says how many cubes around is the can in the picture? And I can see they've laid their string out next to a row of cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The can is 10 cubes around. Number 2 says use string to measure the width of 2 classroom objects. So this is time for you to practice and experiment with your learning coach. You can find 2 objects in your classroom or in your home and measure how many cubes wide each object is. So you're going to stretch those cubes out next to your object and see how wide it is. Number 3 says use a ruler to measure the cubes. So after you found out how many cubes long your object is, you're going to measure those cubes and find out with a ruler how long in inches it is. It says to make a chart like Whitney's to show what you found out. So instead of book, you'd probably write classroom objects here, right? Because we're not doing books, we're doing different things. Right here, you would have 2 sections instead of 3, and you would write the name of each object. So for my experiment, I'm going to do a highlighter and a crayon. So I would write highlighter right here, crayon right here. And then I would still keep my cubes and inches titles since that's how I'm measuring as well. I would write how many cubes long, how many inches long, how many cubes long, how many inches long. So let's go ahead and look at the worksheet that you are going to be filling out as well. It says you will need cubes, string, and a ruler. Let's review how to measure again. You measure to find out the size or amount of something. You can use string or cubes to measure how long or wide something is. You can also use a ruler to measure some things. Here's that example. The books that Whitney measured. Number 1 says how many cubes around is the can in the picture? Remember, we counted these before and we discussed that. So look at how long those cubes are and then write the number of cubes. Number 2 says use a string to measure the width of 2 classroom objects. So you're going to take a string and you're going to lay it out to find out how long those objects are. Then you're going to measure it with cubes and with a ruler. So if you go around something, you'll definitely have to use that string, right? You can't put cubes or a ruler around something. If you do something that's long, like a crayon or a book, you could just lay your cubes or your ruler down next to it. So I'm going to show you an example. Here's our chart that we're going to fill out. My first object, I'm going to type in, you're going to write highlighter. My next object is going to be a crayon. So these are the 2 objects. First, I'm going to measure them each with cubes and then with inches. So let me show you how to do that now. Here's my highlighter. Here are my cubes. Now, you might not have cubes just like this. That's okay. Maybe you have some Lego cubes you could use. Maybe you have some blocks you could use. The only thing I would say is if you don't use the standard cube, then I would write next to cubes, maybe Lego cubes or maybe block cubes. That way your teacher knows, oh, hey, they weren't using these exact ones. So here's my highlighter. Here are my cubes. If I put my highlighter next to it, I can see it doesn't go all the way up to the top. So I'm going to remove one of those. There we go. That looks much better. It's almost exactly the right length, right? Not counting this top part up here. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's 6 cubes long. Now I need to measure how many inches. So I have my highlighter, my Disney Princess's highlighter. I'm going to make sure that my highlighter starts right down here on the bottom line, right? That's 0. That's where we start. And I'm going to stand it up right next to it. It's almost to the 5th inch. It's a little bit more than 4. I would say it's almost exactly in the middle. So that's like 4.5 inches. Let me show you how you would write half an inch. So 4 cubes, I remember. My highlighter was 6 cubes long. For inches, it was 4.5. So I could write 4.5. 4 and then a little period, 5. That means inches, 4.5. Let me make it a little bigger for you. There we go. So it's 4.5 inches long and it's 6 cubes long. Now I'm going to measure my crayon. So let's get back to our cubes. I don't think a crayon is going to be quite this long. Nope, definitely not. I need to remove a few more. So I'm going to remove the top 2, put my crayon next to it. Yeah, not counting this little top part, it's almost exactly 4 cubes long. But now I need to use my ruler too. I need to measure it with my ruler as well. All right, I'm going to start right down here at the line. I'm on the side that says inches, inches. This side has centimeters. I don't want to use the centimeters. CM stands for centimeters and IN stands for inches. All right, so I'm starting right down there at that line. Oh, it's exactly 3 inches long. So now I'm going to go back to my worksheet. My crayon was 4 cubes long and it was 3 inches long. So now I have my chart filled in with my answers for my highlighter and my crayon. Those are my 2 classroom objects. And I've written how many cubes and how many inches long they each were. All right, so make sure you also answer question number 1, question number 2, and then make sure you fill out your chart at the bottom. You don't have to use a highlighter or a crayon. You can use whatever 2 classroom objects you would like to measure. Once you get your worksheet completed, make sure your name is at the top and then upload that to your teacher so you can get a really great portfolio grade. All right, that's it for me today. Thanks so much. Goodbye.